Hey everybody, it's Keith Faria here again with Century 21 and your Landlord Resource Center. I'm here of course with Barry McGuire with Ritchie Mill Law Office. Barry's been giving us a ton of information on some of the things that we just run into as buyers and sellers with regards to the purchase contract and the listing contract for that matter. Another question I have for you, Barry, is with regards to the listing for sellers and buyers regarding permits. On the listing contract, when I'm listing a home, it says right on there, it's asking the question to the seller, are you aware of any lack of permits for development on this property? And I'm wondering if you can just touch on that and why that's important, and then also how it affects the buyer.
Okay, that's a good question, and I think it's a real improvement that the contract now at least has the seller being asked if he's aware of any lack of permits.
Yeah.
So if the seller says, no, I'm not aware of the lack of any permits, that's kind of the finish of it. If the seller says, yeah, by the way, I built a deck and a garage and I didn't get permits for either of them, that allows you as a buyer's realtor to say, okay, we better put a term in the contract that says that the seller will supply the development permit and the building permit for the deck and the garage.
Right.
And lots of times, Keith, it gets left like that. But that's dangerous because it's great that someone goes and applies for it and gets permits. That's important. And you want to actually see those ones. Good step one. But the trick and the key to finishing this one is you need to know that once the construction was completed, that the buyer then called the city and said to the city, okay, I'm done the work, come by and inspect. Yeah. So you want the city to have come by, inspected, and either put the nice green sticker on saying inspected and approved, or given a letter. Different cities do it different ways. Something to indicate that a final approved inspection has been done, and that's the only time you know the issue of permits is properly finished.
Perfect. Yeah, because I imagine it comes up a lot where permits maybe were applied for and received, but just not on the back end of, okay, now that that work is done, has it even been checked out by someone?
Well, we had one last week in my law practice where the buyer asked the seller to supply permits. The seller supplied the permits, and then I said, well, that's great, but
that was it.
Was the work done?
Yeah.
And then when the city came to look, guess what? There were things not done, and the seller had to redo and refix. And it took a while to get that nice occupancy sticker.
Yeah, and so I imagine when something like that becomes a hang up in the deal, it turns into time and money, and maybe even risk closing.
Yeah, delays. This one was delayed a couple weeks, closed in the end, but it could cause a deal to crater if the seller can't actually get. If he did a crappy job on his work, and the city will never give him his fully approved.
Right.
Then that deal is probably going to collapse or have a big monetary adjustment. So it's very important.
Very perfect. Thank you so much for that. I think that clears up a lot about permits. Everybody, as always, like, comment, share this post, share this video. If you have any questions about it, just comment below. Barry will be tagged in this. We'll be happy to answer your questions for you.